The Bugatti Veyron is one of the most legendary cars of all time, and is probably the standout car for many this century. It moved the goalposts so much that supercars and hypercars are now classified by some as being pre and post Veyron. The Veyron may have seemed like a glamorous success from a brand on top of its game, but it is truly a redemption story for the French brand, and the storm that it created is quite possibly the reason why Bugatti hasn't ceased to exist again and is now going from strength to strength under its new owners. So without further ado, I'll get into the story behind the Bugatti Veyron. Bugatti went out of business in 1952 after Ettore Bugatti's death 5 years prior. It would take until 1987 for the brand to be revived, when Romano Artioli bought the brand and developed a factory in Modena, in Italy. Production of the first Bugatti in nearly 40 years began in 1991 with the EB110. Sales were low due to the poor economic state of affairs, and after the company ran out of money, after Artioli bought Lotus in 1993 and the sales couldn't back the decision up. Operations ceased in 1995, and the remaining parts and the license to the EB110 were sold in 1997. In December 1998, the Volkswagen Group bought Bugatti and the design and naming rights associated with it. By December 2000, VW had fully worked out what to do with the brand and appointed the former head of powertrains, Karl-Heinz Neumann, as president. They bought the Château Saint-Jean, which used to belong to Ettore Bugatti, and began converting it into the headquarters of the brand, and they announced that they were going to build a factory around it. The Volkswagen takeover was completed by now, and they were able to begin developing the now famous Veyron. The first concept for the Veyron was thought of by the former Volkswagen Group chairman Ferdinand Piëch, who sketched a W18 engine on an express train in Japan. The engine would be made out of 3 VR6 engines, which in total had a displacement of 6.25 litres and produced just under 550 horsepower. Obviously this wasn't the engine that was used in the final production Veyron, but it was a starting point in a long process. Once Bugatti was bought by Volkswagen in late 1998, Giorgetto Giugiaro from Ital Design began designing a series of concept cars, beginning with the EB118, which was revealed at the 1998 Paris Motor Show. The EB118 was a coupe reportedly inspired by the Bugatti 57 SC Atlantic, but the design was never implemented in the production cars, as later concepts had more similar styling to the completed Veyron. The EB118 used a 6.3 litre W18 designed by Piëch, which produced 555 horsepower. It was used alongside a 5-speed automatic gearbox and 4-wheel drive from the Lamborghini Diablo VT. It also used an aluminium space frame chassis and multi-link suspension. The next concept was the EB218, which was a luxury saloon. Shown off at the 1999 Geneva Motor Show, was also designed by Giugiaro, and it used the same mechanical components as its 2-door counterpart, the 118. It was an update of the EB112, which was supposed to be made alongside the EB110, but never made it to production. As it was a saloon, it had a luxury Focus inside with leather seats and a wooden dashboard. The third concept was the EB183 Chiron, which was the most similar of the first 3 to the final Veyron. Using the horseshoe grille and an integrated rear diffuser, it was obvious that Bugatti meant business with this concept. The active rear wing and carbon fibre body demonstrated to the world that Volkswagen intended to break records, and it was claimed that it could reach 208 miles per hour, but this was never officially verified. The penultimate development car, the EB184 Veyron, was shown off at the 1999 Tokyo Motor Show. It was very close to the final design in terms of looks, and this model was reportedly very popular at events, which is why the design was kept similar. The design was unique, and the aim of Bugatti at the time was to make cars that were instantly recognisable and couldn't be confused with anything else. The pre-production EB164 Veyron had similar styling to the 184, but had an entirely different powertrain. It instead used an 8 litre W16 engine, which was made using 2 V8 engines. This configuration saved space and weight, and allowed for the 4 turbochargers that would later be used. In 2001, VW announced that they would put the Veyron into production. The Veyron was intended to go into production in 2003, but production delays set it back to 2005. The finished car would have an 8-litre W16 engine with 4 turbochargers, making a total of 987 horsepower. It also featured a dual-clutch 7-speed automatic gearbox and specialised Michelin tyres, which cost $25,000. They had to be made to withstand travelling with the Veyron's top speed of 253 miles an hour, which was a record in 2005. The Veyron was not just powerful, but was an all-round package. The leather interior meant that it was comfortable inside with decent practicality, and it was designed to be quite quiet and refined over long distances. The active rear spoiler kept it planted at high speeds, and the carbon ceramic brake discs were lightweight and had less fade than other brakes. The Veyron sold in very limited numbers, but even more exclusive models were made. The Persang, Sang Noir and FBG Par Hermes were some of the more recognisable ones, whilst the Centenary Veyrons were a lineup of 5 made up of the Bleu Centenaire, the Jean-Pierre Wimille, the Achille Vazy, the Malcolm Campbell and the Erman zu Leiningen. In 2008, a convertible version named the Grand Sport was revealed. It had reinforcements to make up for it not having a permanent roof, but other than that it was almost identical. Its top speed of 229 miles an hour makes it one of the fastest convertibles ever. Only 150 were ever made. There were some special models like the Saint Bleu, L'Or Blanc, 3 Dubai Motor Show cars, and the Bernard Venet. In 2007, the SSC Ultimate Aero took the Bugatti's record by 3 miles per hour, so in 2010, Bugatti came up with the car that would hold the record for 7 years. The Veyron Super Sport had an increased power output of 1,184 horsepower. In July 2010, this Veyron hit 267 miles per hour, beating the SSC by 11 miles per hour. Despite some controversy over the production car having a top speed limiter, the record was allowed and Bugatti once again made the fastest car in the world. Only 48 Super Sports were ever made, but the iconic World Record Edition is a car that will be forever in the memories of petrolheads. It's a car that truly moved the goalposts for performance cars and kick-started the hypercar scene we've seen today. The final Veyron variant was the Grand Sport Vitesse, the convertible version of the Super Sport. With the same engine, it was fast, but limited to 233 miles per hour on the road. It was tested at 254 miles per hour, which was a record at the time. The Grand Sport Vitesse would receive its fair share of limited run versions, as well with Bugatti making 6 Legend editions, each limited to 3 cars. These cars were dedicated to Jean-Pierre Wimille, Jean Bugatti, Mayo Constantini, Rembrandt Bugatti, Black Bess and Etoile Bugatti. The final Veyron ever was also a Grand Sport Vitesse, as La Finale was shown off at the Geneva Motor Show in 2015. Despite only making 450 in 10 years, the Veyron was a success for Volkswagen, and the world records it brought helped paint the brand in a new light. Alongside the XL1, it was able to show the diversity within the group, and it showed that they were looking to invest in industry-changing technology. Whilst making a loss on every Bugatti sold, the Veyron was a lot more than a publicity or vanity project, and it truly changed the supercar world forever and started the hypercar craze that we are currently seeing. Whatever the reason behind the Veyron, it is an incredible car that will go down in the history books as the car that shocked the world and brought back a world famous brand for good.